I am so stressed. All right. So, I mean, my mind is just pulled in two different directions as far as this whole lockdown thing is concerned. Obviously, I have CF, so I want to minimize my risk, and so I really want to, have people stay home as much as possible, so that none of my friends or anyone I know gets it, so that I'm not at risk of getting it myself, because with CF I'm not sure how that would go. But on the other hand, in the first month of these lockdowns, 20 million people lost their jobs. And compared to the history of the nation, the most who have ever lost their jobs in a single month is 2 million, and that was right after World War II. But this is simply not acceptable. I mean, first of all, as a person with CF, I feel guilty, right? Because all this stuff is happening to try to protect the vulnerable. I'm one of the vulnerable, and ultimately it's going to come down to risk. The vulnerable, to the extent that they have control, are going to have to, distance themselves, take precautions, wear gloves, wear masks, just do everything they can to try to protect themselves, disinfect all the time. A lot of the stuff we CF people have been doing all along. I mean, when it comes to flu season and then all that, we take extreme precautions. I miss all kinds of parties and family get-togethers because people are sick or whatever. And so it's going to come down to personal risk. What level of personal risk are you comfortable with? And I think for the most part, people are going to be wearing masks. I think for the most part, people are going to try not to gather in big crowds. I do think that outside, I can't imagine people continuing to wear masks. There's already so much pushback around here. People are gathering again. Barbecues are happening again. Much smaller, much more low key. Businesses are going to have to have a pretty high bar in terms of being able to open up. And even me, as someone who's, as someone who has CF, respiratory illness, diabetes, all the high risk factors, I can't see this going much longer. I think we're up to around total of 37 million jobs lost. That's just not sustainable. So we got to find balance. I think about when I was a kid, how whenever, I had a birthday, there's all these balloons, and of course I love to pop balloons. And I remember, sometimes when you tried to pop a balloon, you push on one side and it expands on the other. And I feel like that's kind of like with these policies. Like, we're going to push on one side and we're going to try to mitigate the risk for all these vulnerable people, all these old people and everything else. But then the balloon is expanding. 38% of people in New York State are going through some type of emotional, mental crisis. I'm seeing tons of relapses in the recovery community. I'm seeing alcohol and drug use I've never seen before, depression levels that I haven't seen since 9/11. So we're going to pay a very high toll if we continue to lock down. And I'm really not sure what the right answer is. I'm not sure where the balance is. That was awesome. Love that. So, I'm I'm comfortable with the level of risk that I'm comfortable with. Doing 40, 50 mile an hour on the trail, not scared at all. I am scared of COVID. So I take every precaution when it comes to COVID. But the level of risk we're comfortable with is very personal. So I expect that everyone is going to do everything they can to act within the comfort level, within their own level of risk, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to live my life, and I would expect everyone else is going to. Everyone's going to exercise a level of precaution. I imagine people are going to wear masks for a long time. I imagine people aren't going to gather by the hundreds for a long time. And there'll always be those fools out there. But people are going to go on and live their life. And I think given the negative impact of not doing that, I think it makes sense to, want the country to move forward, want there to be a reopening. Of course, we always want people to act responsibly, and ultimately, that's how we're all gonna live the life we value.